Good morning, guys. Welcome to Introduction to Criminology class. Introduction to Criminology is, I think, one of the most important subjects in the criminology program, considering that this course is the foundation to all major subjects in criminology. So in this video, we will be discussing more on the background of what criminology is all about, and the same as the different divisions of criminology and the 6 major areas of criminology, which are the basis in the taking of the criminology licensure examination. When we say criminology, criminology talks about the study on crime, the behaviors of the criminals, as well as the methodologies on the suppression and the prevention of crime. The definition of criminology that you can see on your screen is the definition that was proposed by the 2 persons, mainly Edwin Sutherland. Edwin Sutherland, cadets, is known as the Dean of Modern Criminology, along with his colleague Donald Creasy. These are the 2 persons who defined criminology as the study regarding crime as a social phenomenon. And in addition, they define it as the study about the making of the law, the breaking of the law, as well as on the reaction of the society towards the breaking of the law. Now, in the criminology program, we will not be mainly talking about how to become a police officer or how to become a fire officer or a jail officer, because criminology is far beyond from making, or far beyond by just being a police officer or by just being a law enforcement officer. It is far more beyond, simply because we talk about crime. We elaborate about the criminal behavior of a person. We talk about the interventions or the methods on how crime should be controlled or should be suppressed or prevented. Now, there are only 2 persons in criminology who argued that criminology is not a science. These 2 persons are Donald Creasy and Edwin Sutherland. So according to them, criminology is not a science, okay? But it has hope on becoming a science. So the reason behind why Sutherland and Creasy did not define criminology as a science, simply because, according to them, science follows a universal rule of law. But criminology does not follow the universal rule of law. So let us say, for example, the reason why trees and plants grow upward, simply because, according to science, trees and plants need what we call as photosynthesis. They need sunlight in the photosynthesis process. So that is why they have to grow upward, simply because in order to get the heat of the sun. In the same manner, if you will take a look on the trees or the plants in other countries, it follows the same principle. It follows the same universal rule of law, and that is the direction on its growth, and it has to be upward. If you will take a look on the shape of the bubble in the Philippines, the circular shape of the bubble is created or can be seen once it floats on the air. In the same manner, the shape of the bubble in America, in Asian countries, or in other countries on that matter, is the same. It's circular shape. Why? Kaya kung ang liquid matipon siya sa gas or sa oxygen, ang usual nga result is bubble which is circular shape. You cannot say a bubble which is rectangular or square shape. lingin gyud na ang bula, di ba? Lingin gyud ang bula. Di po ka kita og coconut tree or di ka kita og tree or plants nga ang iyang pagtubo pa downward. Dili siya mo pa downward nga naman kay ang adlaw naa man sa taas, so it has to grow upward. So meaning it follows the same universal rule of law. It follows the same scientific principle. But if you will compare other sciences like biology, physics, chemistry, in comparison to criminology, ang criminology has varied explanation as to the causes of crime. For example, ang cause of crime in the Philippines might be different cause in other countries. Let's have, for example, specific crimes like murder. The cause of murder cases in the Philippines might be due to poverty. But in other country might be because of greed or political ambitions. In other countries, ang ilahang marijuana is legal. But in the Philippines, ang atuang marijuana is considered as illegal. So meaning, it does not follow a universal rule of law simply because the causes of crime in a particular location are actually different as to the causes in other location. Okay? Pwede ang tao makapatay og other individual because of jealousy. O sa may cause niya, jealousy. Pero if you will take a look on other place, posible dili jealousy ang nakaingon nga nakapatay siyang tao. Posible ang nakaingon is grudge or kalagot or pagdumot. So lahi-lahi siya og causes. So lahi-lahi man og causes, so therefore wala siya ni follow og universal rule of law, and therefore criminology should not be considered as a science. That's according to the argument of Donald Creasy and Edwin Sutherland. But in some views of other criminologists, like contemporary ones, they say that criminology is a science simply because it utilizes scientific instruments in the detection of crime. That is their argument. But then again, we have to take a look on the two sides of the coin. Persons or personalities who does not consider it as a science, and personalities who consider it as a science. The specific arguments are, it is not considered as a science because it does not follow a universal rule of law. On the other side, it is a science simply because it utilizes scientific instruments in the detection of crime. So from first year up until you will graduate, we will be talking about crime. Okay? We will be talking about laws. We will be talking about rehabilitation. We will be talking about suppression and prevention of crime. Okay? Ang area on becoming a police officer is just a minor parcel in the study of criminology. Why? Simply because, as I have said a while ago, ang criminology is beyond by just being a police officer or by just being a jail officer. It is about studying the crime puzzle or deciphering the crime puzzle, knowing the causes why a person behaves this way or knowing why a particular crime is committed. Now, we have principal divisions of criminology. We have three. The discussions in the criminology course will only revolve in these three major divisions. Number one is criminal ethology, two is sociology of laws, three is penology or correction. So when we say criminal ethology, we study about the causes or the genesis of crime. From the word ethio, ethio stands for the origin or the beginning of crime. So in your entire course, okay, in your entire course, we will be talking about why a person commits a crime or why this particular crime is being committed. Second, we will also be talking about the development of our criminal law. We will be talking about criminal law book 1. We will be studying about criminal book 2, criminal procedure, criminal evidence, and those are the various laws, okay, in the study of criminology. Lastly, it is also part of your course, the study about the rehabilitation and treatment of offenders. So you have subjects like institutional correction, non-institutional correction, and therapeutic modalities, which will explain on how we change the person from being a law violator into a law-abiding citizen of the country. Aside from that, there are also minor areas which are associated in the study of criminology. Number one is criminal demography, criminal epidemiology, criminal ecology, criminal anthropology. When we say demography, the first thing that should come to your mind, if you heard the word demography, the first thing that should come to your mind is population. So if you will entwine, or if you will connect the words criminal and demography, you define it in a way that criminal demography is the link or the association between crime and population. The question right now is, what is the link or what is the relationship between crime and population? The relationship between crime and population is, the higher the population, the higher would be the crime rate. The lesser the population, the lesser would be the crime rate. So if you will compare Siquijor and Dumaguete City, let us say San Juan, Siquijor, there is a lesser population in San Juan, Siquijor as compared to Dumaguete City. So since Dumaguete City has a higher population compared to San Juan, Siquijor, then you have to expect, as a criminology student, you have to expect that city of Dumaguete has a higher crime rate compared to San Juan, Siquijor. In the same manner, the barangays in the city, in comparison to the barangays in the far-flung areas, you have to expect that the barangays in the city would have a higher crime rate as compared to the barangays in the far-flung areas, considering that the barangays in the far-flung areas have a lesser population. In the same manner, the population in the squatter area would be high compared to the population in the subdivision area. So you have to expect that there is a higher crime rate in the squatter area compared to the subdivision area. So that's the relationship between crime and population. The next one is criminal epidemiology. So when you heard the word epidemiology, the thing or the word that comes to your mind should be spatial distribution. Spatial distribution of crime in a community. So, when we say spatial distribution of crime in a community, it means that crime rate varies from one location to the other. There are a lot of cases, or usual cases, that drug addiction might be high on location 1 as compared to location 2. There might be a higher crime rate in terms of murder in location 2 as compared to location 3. So you do not say nga pareha tanan. Lahi-lahi guna. That is why we have the so-called crime hotspots, because there are areas which have a higher crime rate in terms of drug use as compared to other barangays. Okay? So asa man ka mag-concentrate sa imo nga police patrol. So ato ka atong daghan nga crime rate. Okay? So we call that one as criminal epidemiology. The third one is criminal ecology. Criminal ecology studies about the relationship between environment and criminality. So when you say ecology, in science, we call it a study of the environment. So what is the relationship between the environment and crime? The relationship between environment and crime is that if a person is located on an environment that is prone for him to commit crime, there is a more probability that crime will be committed. What are the explanations of the, what are environmental factors that can cause a person to commit crime? For example, init nga panahon, like summer season. In summer season, usually the crime against persons is high compared to rainy season. What's the explanation behind? The explanation is this way. Kung init ang panahon, init ang hunahuna or init ang paminaw sa tao. Kung init ang paminaw sa tao, mas dali siya nga ma-irritate. Dali siya nga ma-stress. So dali man siya nga ma-stress, kay init ang panahon, kung masiklan siya o gamay, posible siya nga mo-exert siya or mo-exhibit siya og aggressive nga behavior that can cause him to commit criminality. So let us say, for example, kanang imagine yourself on a particular room. Let us say, panahon sa ting-init, summer season. Sa boarding house, on a particular room, walay ventilation. Okay, walay ventilation. Tapos, in a particular room, good for 5 persons, ideally, nahitabo nga naa mo diha, pulo mo kabuok. Tapos, init kayo. So, bantayan nimo nga dali kang ma-irritate. Because environment plays a big factor in the commission of crime. That is why this could be a good explanation why there is a higher crime rate on countries in the Middle East as compared to countries which are located in cold geographical location like Alaska. Okay? Ang Alaska nga country kay bugnaw man na. So mas gamay og krimen didto compared sa country in the Middle East. Nga naman tungod sa environment. Criminal anthropology is one of the most ridiculed or criticized area in criminology because according to criminal anthropology, there is a relationship between the physical appearance of a person to crime. Okay? According to criminal anthropology, if a person has physical anomalies, like say for example, physical anomalies like dark skin, curly hair, flat nose, narrow backbone, flat jaw, these are just few of the physical anomalies that would tell that a person is prone to commit crime. Because according to criminal anthropology, these physical anomalies are actually the result of undeveloped, undeveloped nature, physical nature of a person. Since undeveloped man siya, according to criminal anthropology, kanang lapan kag ilong, narrow backbone, flat jaw, curly hair, according to criminal anthropology, that person is prone to commit criminality. Or basically, or to simply say, the uglier the person is, according to criminal anthropology, the more probability for him to commit crime. The prettier or the more handsome a person is, the less that person would commit crime. So this is one of the most criticized area in criminology. The difference between psychology and psychiatry is this. When we say psychology, that refers to human behavior, while psychiatry refers to the mental state or the mental behavior of a person. So when we say criminal psychology, the study of the relationship between the behavior of a person and crime. Okay? Our behavior has influences, whether we like it or not, has influence on our aggressive behavior or on our criminal behaviors. Psychiatry, how we do the mental process. The mental process will also influence on our antisocial behavior. There's a saying that goes, whatever your thoughts are, or your thoughts will determine your words, and your words will determine your action. So basically, the origin of an act is from your mental processes. So what you think, you act. You act that way simply because that's what you think. Okay? So the thinking of a person has something to do with crime. Victimology is on the relationship between the victim and the offender. Whether you like it or not, the victim has always a contribution in his own victimization. Ngano man ang tao mabiktima sa krimen? Mabiktima siya kay naaman po siya contribution sa iyang pagkabiktima. Ngano man kang na-rape o na-rape ka, kayo sa may mong contribution, naglatagaw man ka alas 12 sa gabi tapos nubo man kay kag short, dayon gagasuot man kag transparent nga cloth nga t-shirt or attire. So posible ka nga ma-rape. Ngano man kang gikawatan? Gikawatan ka because you leave the door open. So sa may mo contribution, by being reluctant or being complacent on the situation, you leave the door open, and that gives the would-be criminal to commit theft. So na kay contribution. Asa na nabilong? Victimology. On the other concepts of criminology, we have criminogenic processes that will explain on the experiences of the person and how these experiences will mold the individual into being a criminal or non-criminal. We also have criminal psychodynamics, which talks about the mental processes of a person who commits crime. Dementia praecox, this is about the failure of the mental faculties or the physiological impairment of the person, which usually starts after puberty. We will also be talking about delusion, the false belief of oneself, like the feeling of or believing that you have superpowers. That's part of delusion. Erotomania, the uncontrollable impulse to have sexual intercourse with another person. A person who commits crime under emotional stress, we call this one as episodic criminal. Or the most important one which came out in the board examination is logomacy. Logomacy is nolum crimen nulla pena sine lege in Latin, which means there is no crime if there is no law, and we can only abolish crime by abolishing the law. So basically, logomacy means you cannot consider a particular act as a crime once there is no law punishing it. Okay? You do not consider a particular act as a crime if there is no law regulating it. For example, kung walay balaod sa pagpatay, din kung mupatay ang usa ka tawo, dili siya pwedeng maperiso. Ngano man, di man siya ma-consider nga krimen. Kay ngano man di ma-consider nga krimen, kay wala may balaod. So there has to be an established law regulating or prohibiting the performance of the act before the act will be considered as a crime. That's what we call logomacy. Kleptomaniac. Kleptomaniac means the uncontrollable propensity or the impulse of a person to steal. Those persons who cannot control their impulses in stealing, we call that one as kleptomaniac. Masochism, on the other hand, is a sexual perversion which a person will derive gratification or pleasure by wanting to be cruelly treated during sexual intercourse. Okay? So kung ganahan ang usa ka tawo nga bunalan siya during the sexual intercourse, ang tawag ana masochism. Pero kung ikaw mo'y ganahan nga mo'y mo pasakit sa imo nga partner, ang tawag sadism. That's the difference between the two. Masochism, ganahan ka nga ikaw mo'y masakitan during the sexual intercourse. Sadism, ganahan ka nga ikaw mo'y mo pasakit during the sexual intercourse. Melancholia. Melancholia means the depression of the spirits. Melancholia is a higher level of depression. Kanang dali kayo ka nga mag-uol. Megalomania, on the other hand, is a disorder wherein a person thinks that he is great or a person thinks that he is being exalted. Okay? So in the study of criminology, in your course right now, you have 6 major areas, okay, that I want you to memorize. Okay? Because the 6 major areas are the basis in the criminology licensure examination. And your subjects in your prospectus or in your curriculum are actually generally grouped into 6 areas. Okay? These 6 major areas will also be the basis as scheduled in the criminology licensure examination. For example, In the first day of the exam, because you have 3 days in the criminology licensure examination, in the first day, you will be taking perhaps LEA in the morning. Pila man ka items sa LEA in the morning? 100 items. Okay? Unsa may mga subjects nga under sa LEA nga imong tun-an? Mao na mga police organization, operational planning, patrol, industrial security management, so on and so forth. So the subject that you are taking right now, cadets, which is LEA 111, belongs to Law Enforcement Administration. But do not expect that all questions under LEA will only be taken from police organization subject. Because the questions will be spread from all subjects in that major area. So possibly there will only be, let us say, 10 questions from police organization, 5 questions in operational planning, and the other questions will be taken from other subjects. In the afternoon, you will be taking criminal law and jurisprudence. Pila man ni ka subjects? Unsa may under ani? Criminal procedure. Ang criminal justice system, apil na ani ha, because criminal justice system belongs to criminal sociology in the old curriculum. But in the new curriculum, sa inyo nga curriculum karon, ang criminal justice system na apil siya sa CLJ. Ang criminal procedure, ang evidence, these are all part under criminal law and jurisprudence major areas. So, pila man ka items? 100. Okay? 100 ka items. But do not expect again that the 100 questions will only be taken in one subject. Spread diya po na siya. That is why it is very important that you have to study all the subjects in that major area for you to pass. For you to pass in the licensure examination. This subject, which is Introduction to Criminology, belongs to criminal sociology. Okay? So what are the other subjects aside from Introduction to Criminology? You have juvenile delinquency, human behavior, crisis management, ethics, community relations. These are all part of the criminal sociology. So meaning, you have to study all these subjects for you to pass that major area. Okay? So pila man ang items? Again, 100. So a total of 6 major areas scheduled within 3 days. Half day, 100 items, 1 major area. The other half day would be 100 items, other major area. A total of 6. The fourth is criminalistics. Okay? Criminalistics, or under the new term, forensic science. So, unsa may mga subjects ani? Ang subjects ani is dactyloscopy, police photography, polygraphy, forensic ballistics, question document examination, forensic medicine, forensic chemistry. These are all subjects that you will be taking in the higher level. So when you reach second year, perhaps you will be taking police photography. Okay? So muna yung mga subjects po din yung tunan. Again, you have to study all these subjects simply because the questions will be spread from these areas. So the fifth one is CDI. So in the second year level, you will be taking fundamentals of investigation or criminal investigation. Any course that ends with investigation belongs to CDI. Okay? Crime Detection, Investigation, and Prevention. So again, 100 items. The only major area in criminology which has lesser subjects is correction. Correction is only 10% in the criminology licensure examination. So meaning, pinakagamay man tulo lang ka subjects sa inyong tunan. Ani mo ning kung mahimo in the criminology licensure examination, you have to get a perfect score. Why? Because this is the only major area wherein you have a very small quantity, small area, small coverage that you have to take into account in studying. Because the only subjects in correction is non-institutional correction, institutional correction, and therapeutic modalities. A total of 3 only subjects under correction. which will serve as the coverage under the correction area. So a total of 3 days, 600 items. Pila may pasaron ni mo ani? You have to garner a general point average which is 75. It is okay if you got correction, you have, let's say, 72. But you have, let's say, 80 in CDI, 80 in criminal law and jurisprudence. But pag total ni mo ana, unom ka ratings, i-total ni mo, pag kumanin mo total, i-divide into 6, the result will be your GPA. And if you get 75, that means welcome to the criminologist world. You will become a registered criminologist. But if you flunk, because you got lower 75, that means you have to retake the criminology licensure examination.